to air at Military Collectibles. So this is a video that I've been planning for a long time, but I've been trying to get everything right. I'm going to try and concentrate on the quality and the lengths of the videos, trying to improve the channel. So they might be coming as frequently, but they will be coming. So what are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about the S.A.S. involvement in the Iraq War, 1990 to 1991. Started off as Desert Shield, later became Desert Storm. A coalition of about 42 different nations. Iraq invaded Kuwait, obviously, where a lot of nations didn't like that. So they formed a coalition of 42 different countries to ask Kuwait, or to try and force Kuwait, or Iraq to leave Kuwait. Didn't happen, so the war started. Initially it was called Desert Shield, which was when they were in the political side of things trying to negotiate. When the war broke out, it became Desert Storm. The famous commander-in-chief of the whole operation was a guy by the name of General Schwarzkopf, and on the British commander was General de Villiers, who we all know was an S.A.S. officer. So he really wanted to have the S.A.S. and the Special Forces involved in the ground operations. But General Schwarzkopf, due to things that had happened in Vietnam earlier on in his career, wasn't too happy about having Special Forces involved. De Villiers basically got his way, and he got a limit, initially a limit of Special Forces operations, which later became bigger and bigger and bigger. So what happened that involved the S.A.S.? So the S.A.S. was sent over pretty much as a regiment. The only regiment, or the only squadron that was left behind, was the counter-terrorism squadron. Everyone else was sent to Iraq. Massive shortage of equipment, massive shortage of vehicles, massive shortage of everything. So basically the S.A.S. did what they did best. They went back to basics and borrowed and stole what they could. Initial operations that were launched was just some slight reconnaissance operations, but the famous ones, I suppose, that people know of is Bravo 20. And in Bravo 20 there was actually three separate patrols. There was Bravo 10, Bravo 20 and Bravo 30. Bravo 10, when they infiltrated, they found that where they had infiltrated into, the ground was insufficient for what they needed to do, and they weren't happy with it, so they bugged out. They were on foot. Bravo 20, famous patrol, we all know what happened to them, unfortunately. 3 died, 1 escaped, and 4 were captured. Bravo 30 actually took vehicles. Now all 3 patrols were offered vehicles, but Bravo 30 was the only ones that took the vehicles, because the military vehicles, or the S.A.S. specific vehicles, were kept back in Saudi Arabia in their area of operations for further operations, which later became the Sabre squadrons. So I'll explain that in a while. So the initial patrols were offered vehicles. Bravo 1, 2 and 30 were offered vehicles. Bravo 30 was the only one that accepted the vehicles. Bravo 1 and Bravo 2, famously Bravo 2 was asked to take vehicles, didn't want to take them, went in on foot. But Bravo 3, as I said, did take vehicles. Now they took 110 that they got from Cyprus off the RAF, and they took a 90. Vehicles, Land Rovers in the S.A.S. are famously known as Pinkies, so they christened their 110 that they cut the roof off of and did modifications to try and get it some way usable for their operations, what they needed. They called it a Pinky and a Dinky. The Pinky being the 110, the Dinky being the 90. But I'm going to concentrate on Bravo 20. Bravo 20, there's books wrote about it, there's podcasts about it, everything. It's a very controversial patrol. I am going to talk about the facts of the patrol. I'm not going to speculate what happened, what didn't happen, blah. I am only going to speculate about the facts of the patrol. So the facts of the patrol, there was 8 men. As I said, 3 were killed unfortunately, 1 escaped and 4 were captured. Famous ones that we know are Andy McNabb, who wrote Bravo 20, and Chris Ryan, that wrote the one that got away. They have been criticised in their accounts. by other regimental members and by the former Regimental Sergeant Major, who later wrote a book called The Eye of the Storm, which is another good book if any of you want to read it. So, what I'm going to talk about now is I'm going to talk about the kit and equipment that Bravo 20 and Bravo 10, not so much Bravo 30 because they had vehicles running, but Bravo 1 and Bravo 20, the kit and equipment that they would have had entering into the patrol. Next part of the video, we're talking about Bravo 10 and specifically Bravo 20. Both patrols went in on foot. Both patrols carried a hell of a lot of equipment. In Andy McNabb and Chris Ryan's book, they said that it weighed about 15 stone. That's a lot of weight to be carrying. So they had the PLC green kit in Bergens that they painted to try and camouflage it a bit. So I was going to put that down. So, YouTube, this is not a pew pew, a real pew pew. It has nothing to do with that. This is a movie prop. This is the pew pew that they would have been armed with, or would have had the use of. It is, or it would have been, an M16 with a 203 underslung launcher. They didn't. The whole patrol didn't have these. The other half of the patrol had FN Minimes. Both fired, if they were to fire, a 5.56, so they could carry the same ammunition for both systems if they wanted. As I said, this is a historical educational video, so this is only a prop. So I'm just going to put this down as well. So famously, when the S.A.S were sent to the Gulf, they didn't have any equipment. Well, they did have equipment. They had desert experience and stuff like that. But for the whole regiment to go, they didn't have the equipment. As I said about Bravo 30, they were issued vehicles, or they decided to bring vehicles that were belonged to the Air Force that were stationed, or the RAF that had been stationed in Cyprus. So when Bravo 20 hit the ground and went on their famous patrol, they were actually issued World War II smocks. Chris Ryan in his book says that his one was dated 1942. So this is a World War II smock. This is what they would have worn. PLC webbing, they painted and scrubbed up to make it for camouflage. They would have been able to carry six magazines on either side, plus one in the rifle. That's 13 magazines. So 6 in each pouch. That makes 6 in this is 12. One in the rifle is 13. They would have also had in their pockets the eggs, the golden eggs as they call them, because the top of them were gold for the 40 millimeter. But they would have carried them in their pockets, and this is what they would have worn. Later on, when the weather changed, now remember these lads were going into the desert. They did have desert experience. The whole squadron itself had, the whole regiment had desert experience. It had been in Oman, it had been in Yemen. The S.A.S was formed in the desert, so it had desert experience. But when they got there, as I said, they didn't have equipment. They didn't. Bravo 20 didn't have any pistols. I don't even think any of the 3 Bravo patrols had pistols, because they just weren't there. They didn't have them. So the patrols were very, very limited in the equipment they had. So they had to beg, borrow, and steal stuff, or tactically acquire. So that's what they did. Their pantses, as you can see here, this one is the Desert DPM. This is the sparse version. If you go back to the earlier part of the video, I was actually wearing a period correct top under this smock, but it's not the sparse version, so you can tell the difference if you look at that difference on the early part of the video. The boots are combat highs. We haven't gone into the Soldier 95 regeneration project yet, so they still had combat highs. You also see them with desert boots, private purchase boots, jungle boots. Basically they did what they wanted. As we said, they didn't have the equipment, they weren't issued equipment, and they just went with what they had. Unfortunately, I have visited some of the guys on this patrol that were killed in Hereford, and so that's one of the reasons I'll be trying to keep this as respectful as possible, and just to go with facts. And the fact of the Bravo 20 patrol was, as I said earlier on, 3 were killed, 1 escaped, and 4 were captured. That is the facts of Bravo 20 patrol. So, this might look like a funny get-up, but we are now on to the Sabre Squadrons. So the Sabre Squadrons went in vehicles. They knew the weather was cold, so they needed to equip themselves. So they went to every bazaar and market that they could in Saudi Arabia, and they got these wool-lined herders' coats, sheep herders' coats, and they go all the way down to the ground. Famous photos of these. This is an original one, and believe it or not, this is so warm. I slept in this at Odyssey last year because I got all this stuff off of Trevor Penn from the Black Button Bastards, and he put most of the equipment together, gave it to me, so this is where I'm doing this video. And I would also like to thank my good friend Danny Reese for giving me all the information and a lot of information and stuff about the actual operations and the S.A.S. of the time, because Danny is very good when it comes to S.A.S. history. So, we've covered this item. I'll just remove it. So, we have gone in now in vehicles to the area of operations. What were they doing in there? So, Iraq had started firing Scuds. Scuds is an interballistic missile, started firing them into Israel, and Israel was going to enter into the war. If Israel had entered into the war, the coalition would have crumbled. Initially Bravo 1, 2 and 30 were sent in to find Scuds. They went in to put in observation posts or OPs on the MSRs, the main supply routes. Bravo 3 did actually do that job with vehicles, because they did have 1 or 2 contacts, but because they had vehicles, they could go quick and fast out of the area. They had a better chance of getting away from the contact than the 2 foot patrols, and unfortunately Bravo 20 proved that not taking the vehicles was probably a mistake. So the Sabre Squadrons went in with the same mission. They were to attack, they were to look for Scuds. If they found them, attack them if they could. If not, call in airstrikes and reconnaissance. So that's what they did. But they went in completely different than Bravo 1, Bravo 2 and Bravo 3, because these lads were in vehicles. So they had chest rigs. A lot of them. A lot of the photos you see them wearing chest rigs. You want to see them wearing the old S.A.S. assault vest, and you also see them wearing the new Trials Northern Ireland battle vests. But a lot of them you see wearing these chest rigs, these Northern Ireland chest rigs, because they had them. So, as I said, they went in vehicles, so they didn't have to, their vehicles now had carrying their backpacks and stuff like that. They were still armed with their own personal weapons, personal pew-pews, the M16s with 203s. Do a lot see what look like M4 carbines coming around now. You don't see as many of them with mini-me's or anything like that, because their vehicles already now have either a .5 or a GPMG on them, the heavy weapons. They're in vehicles now, so not worry too much about camouflage. So you see them starting to wear their DPM windproof smocks, the famous schmag, which I was wearing at Bravo 20, but you see them wearing this famous schmag. And they're very, very mufti. If you see the pictures of them, they're wearing everything and anything. You see them with DPM pants, regular green DPM pants with World War II windproof smocks on the top of them. You see them wearing lots and lots of different combinations. So this is just one combination that I put together. I took it off, but I put it back on again. Because the weather started getting cold as well, you start to see them wearing headgear. You'll see them wearing this, which has been around from this cold weather cap. It's been around since the Falklands. You also see them wearing, where did I put it? The regular DPM bush hats that they've cut down the rim to make it shorter. So yeah, you see him wearing a combination of it. You see him wearing wool beanies. You see him wearing lots and lots of stuff, or wool watch caps. There you go. I hope you like the information that I'm after providing here at Air and Military Collectibles. I hope you like the video. I hope you like the content, and there will be more videos like this in the future. So if you like what we provide here at Air and Military Collectibles, please like, please subscribe, and please tune in for the next video. And as always, if you want to get in contact with the channel, there's an email at the top of the video description, and if you would like to contribute to the channel, there's also an Amazon wishlist. Thank you very much.